This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Robin Dreeke.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard, it's a topic. She's a topic. She's a human being that is on a lot of people's minds right now with her release from prison and the new docu-series that's out on Lifetime, documenting what she went through while in prison and what she went through with her own mother, in her own words. Without a doubt, someone who went through horrific child abuse. While in prison, she's made the decision to get married. Actually, has been engaged more than once while behind bars, much to the caution of her own family. That's what we're going to talk about in this segment today with Robin Dreeke, retired FBI special agent. It's a story that I'm so confused by. Every time I look at it, I am more confused on how I feel about it. Certainly, everyone is entitled to love. I hope she has a great life outside of prison, and she's able to succeed and focus on the mission that she's expressed that she has of raising awareness about Munchausen by proxy, and hopefully does some good along the way. But it is very difficult to watch what appears to be a train wreck in progress. I'm specifically talking about decisions being made about her personal life, about getting married to someone who thought it was a wise idea to write someone in prison who, for all intents and purposes, had been publicized as looking like a disabled child. Him coming out saying, I was so attracted to her. There's a lot that was very, very bizarre and disturbing to me. Let's start with just let's take all the dynamics that we know about this case out of it, and we'll get there in a moment. But just the idea, it takes an interesting someone to say, I've exhausted my prospects here. Let's go to the prison system and look for love.
Yeah, I've been looking at this one too, because much like you, it's positive, it's tragic, it's compelling, her story, because of what was done to her, the abuse she's been through. I think she is doing a great job of bringing awareness, and will do a great job of bringing awareness to how do you say it?
Munchausen by proxy. Yep.
Munchausen by proxy, which is very rare, but real. And it's also, I think it'll help people become aware of trauma as well, even if it doesn't reach that level. So good on her for that. But doing the research for this, there's actually a term for people that are attracted to people in prison. It's hybristophilia. And typically, if you look up that word, hybristophilia, it generally is women attracted to men behind bars. You know, like Jeffrey Dahmer got fan mail. You know, people want to marry these serial killers because of this. They're attracted to people like this. So it's termed for females attracted to men behind bars, but this is a very rare case of a male attracted to a female. I say rare only because there's not that many females that murder or are accused of murder. So there's going to be less cases of them, in other words. But it looks like, again, pure conjecture, you know, from the data points we have. You know, she's damaged, went through a lot of trauma. I hope she's getting counseling she needs to get through all that to become a healthy, emotionally healthy and stable individual, as well as her new husband. You know, it looks like he may have, who knows what he's been through. I know he's a special ed teacher, and he wrote her a letter off of a kind of like a dare, like his friend wrote some other serial killer, and he wrote a letter, and 3 meetings later they're engaged.
Yeah, I mean, the whole dynamic is bizarre. I mean, immediately it starts out almost with the weird justification of, I had a friend and she said that she was going to write Tiger King. So I said, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm going to write Gypsy Rose. I mean, it's downplaying the whole situation. It's an attempt to normalize the situation when it's not something that's normal to do. And then, yes, they on the third meeting, they get engaged, but they had been communicating for about a year. There's also inconsistencies in the story as well. I've watched several interviews now with him. I've watched the documentary. And one of the things that stands out, number one, is the intent here. Initially, it's, oh, I'm just curious, I'm just going to write this girl. And that's all it is. And then it gets a little bit deeper. The next time you hear him talking about it, I watched the Mommy Dead and Dearest, and I thought, wow, she's really cute. She's really something. And I'm paraphrasing here. When Mommy Dead and Dearest portrayed Gypsy Rose mainly as a disabled small child. The idea that someone walked away from Mommy Dead and Dearest going, she's a looker, or whatever you want to say, is kind of disgusting to me and disturbing. Now she's grown up. She's gone into her own. But from the context of what he's saying, he was attracted to at that moment in time, a disabled child that clearly has a lot of issues, seems a little bit odd or extremely messed up.
So let's look at, there's a few things to kind of take a look at here again from our third optic back here. One is one of the characteristics, again, the science on this is not heavy, the research, but some of the data points they're saying is that the women that fall in love with men behind bars, part of that compulsion is to save them. They can fix them, they can heal them, they can make them better, which we can kind of see a little bit of here. If she's a wounded child, he might have that similar compulsion. Another thing here at play is, let's look at his behavior arc. He is a special needs teacher.
He actually lost his job when they found out he was romantically involved with Gypsy Rose.
So he's attracted to that.
Yes. Yeah.
Emotionally, and also fantasization is also a big part of what attracts people behind, to people behind bars, is they can fantasize about this relationship that can never be, so they can build it up to be much more than it is. But she's released. And so I think there's a lot of elements that are probably playing into this. They're both probably very wounded people. Mm-hmm. We know she is, maybe he is as well. And so when they find each other, it comes this maelstrom of, maybe unhealthy validation, or at least validation in some respect. Maybe, you can see her getting attention from him in a positive way that she might not have been getting from other people. She said that, he understands me. I mean, he comes across, according to her, as very empathetic, that's all I'll say about that. But it's, so you see a lot of data points here that can kind of say, you can understand how it happened with all this dysfunction around both of them, maybe.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.